that really made a difference. He was lively, he was bright, he was brilliant, cutting inside and scoring his first senior goal for the club, drilling into the corner to make it 1-1. But the lead wasn't to last long. It was on the counter-attack as Leicester rushed forward to try and find some momentum, to try and find a winner. A ball from Thierry Smalling behind was capitalised upon by Milutina Zmajic, who side-footed beyond Stolacic to re-establish the Preston lead. And that's how it stayed. Full time here at Deepdale in the Championship. Preston North End 2, Leicester City 1.
Thank you, Niall. Yes, disappointing first away day for the Foxes this season in the league. It has finished in defeat up at Deepdale. David Nugent and Matt Elliott are joining me, Dan Bates, here in the studio to assess that defeat. And Jerry Taggart will stay with us. Jerry, obviously watching these scenes now of presumably frustration from the Leicester City supporters and the Leicester players at full time, and presumably yourself as well.
Yeah, I mean, almost disbelief. You know, done brilliantly well to get themselves back in the game, and then a breakaway on those Leicester, and it could have got worse at the end with one ball over the top as well. Zmajic probably should have buried that. A great save from Stolacic to keep it at 2-1. But yeah, I mean, the second half as a whole was better than the first half, but I mean, fans, the players are going up to the fans now and clapping them, which is good to see. But honestly, Dan, you know, it took a 16-year-old to possibly change the momentum of the game in Leicester's favour. So yeah, but in doing so, I mean, they should never have given that. Well, they should have walked out here with at least a draw, and they just weren't able to do that.
Yeah, we're seeing Martis and Fuentes and the Leicester players going over and clapping the away end. Is it presumably it's relatively well reciprocated, that?
I would have thought so. I think it's pretty standard practice. So, Dan, you know, even with a disappointing defeat under the belt, then you have to show your appreciation for all these thousands of fans that have made the journey here to Preston today. And, you know, they made it in quite considerable number as well. So, fair play to them. You know, they were given glimpses of absolute quality today when Monga came on the pitch. So, that'll give them a little bit of hope moving forward.
Jerry Taggart will stay with us throughout this post-match reaction. David Nugent, you played for both Leicester and Preston today. I think one set of fans will be a lot happier than the other today, and that is the home support. Winning late on like that, just as Leicester were looking like the most likely, weren't they, at that point?
Yeah. Obviously, not really happened until Monga came on the pitch. It made a massive impact, and where the result was going, came on, scored his goal. And you thought like we were going to have to, kick on and try and get the winner, but as Jerry said, then got hit on a counter attack. It was poor defending by Vestergaard following out. He tried to step up, didn't he, and get in front of his defender and left all the space in behind. Which it was a great cross by Thierry Smalling, and Zmajic, who was a handful all game, managed to get on the end of it and score the winner. But I still think it was a disappointing performance. One thing coming out of it was Jerry Munn coming on, scoring his goal. Other than that, there's not much to talk about, was there?
It's disappointing when you look at how the game went overall. Really, I mean, it's a little bit as if Leicester needs something to go against them to stir them to a degree, and whether people agree with that or not, I don't know. Or perhaps the players might say different, but that's how it comes across a little bit. They sort of go. Again, it sounds a little bit harsh, going through the motions, but they're playing at a certain tempo, shall we say, before they really get stirred into action. And today, even going behind, you can't react almost straight away sometimes, because that surge comes from the home team. Like, they get their tails up, don't they? The likes of Preston today, they get that first goal, all of a sudden, the home team supporters, they're up anyway, but they're really behind their team. And then the team themselves start thinking, hang on, we've got a chance here, we can turn these over. And playing Leicester's a big occasion for teams in the Championship, and they're going to give their utmost to upset the apple cart a little bit, really, and get one over on a supposed top end promotion challenging team. And people take a lot of pride in taking points off them. I think you saw that today at the end of the game. Supporters were there and they were applauding their team, and the team were delighted, but they were sort of out on their feet, socks rolled down their ankles, boots off. They've given their all, as did Sheffield Wednesday last week, as best they could. Teams will against Leicester. Teams will anyway in this division. And if Leicester don't do the same, they're going to come unstuck, certainly every now and then, and maybe even more than that. But they do have the quality. They showed that. Jerry mentioned it there. They got themselves right back in the game. They looked strong favourites to go and win it. Concentration that I spoke about, and application of an attitude, those things, none of them were good enough today, and that's the reason that Leicester lost the game.
Is that maybe, weirdly, Jerry, potentially, not a good thing that Leicester have lost today, I don't mean it like that, but actually sort of they can now see what Matt's saying, and then moving forward, they know that there is simply going to be no easy games in this division. We've not got any Jerry. We've lost Jerry. Oh, he's back.
No, I'm here.
Can you hear us, Jerry? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Did you hear that question?
I did. That's why I was on silent, so I could hear you. And then I've just learned a few technical bits and bobs while I've been off air. So I'm in front of it, Dan. But yeah, I heard the question. Well, it's never a good time to lose a game in any division, but if they're going to learn, they're going to have to learn quick, because there's another away game and it's Charlton next week, and that won't be easy. At the end of the day, Dan, you've got two international centre halves at the back, and they're not organising. And Preston were a constant threat all afternoon down the sides of Leicester. Even with just Osmajic running the channels, and they're 2 against 1, they couldn't cope with it. And that tells me that there's underlying issues there. If you've got two international centre halves who can't organise what's sitting in front of them, and the second goal was a classic example of that. There was just no organisation. They were at 6s and 7s at the back, and one ball has basically undone them. One clearance, and Osmajic again was straight through from a straight ball, and should have scored. Let's get it right. Preston had probably 2 really good opportunities to go further in front. They've scored 2 goals and they had 2 gilt-edged chances that they didn't take. And if they'd have walked off here 4-1 winners, no one could have batted an eyelid. So there's a few issues for the manager to sort out, and one of them is when Leicester are in possession of the ball, they need to organise better. Because when it breaks down, because that's what happens in games of football, it breaks down. You have to be organised and ready to go and win the ball back as soon as possible. Now, if they can learn that and learn that quickly, then that will stop things like this happening, what happened today at Preston.
Well,
but there's a big learning curve.
It takes, you said it at the start there, 2 international centre halves. If they can learn that, was it parting shot from Tags there? That should be known and just a common occurrence, shouldn't it? They should just be doing it as a matter of course. It's not so much something they got to learn; it's something they just got to concentrate and focus on and put into practice. They know how to do it, Tags. That's what I'm saying. Well, they should do. It's just whether they've got that concentration. I think it's like partially it's lazy defending. I think it's defending where you're hoping that the other team are not going to show the quality to put that ball into this area or that, down the channel, round the back, whichever you want. And you come unstuck when they do provide the quality. But you're hoping that they haven't, but these teams have.
The thing is, Matt, you don't even need that much quality just to put a ball down the side.
No. Early on,
most players can do that.
Yeah.
Most players can just help a ball on down the side. If you've got a centre forward who's willing to run the channel, then you just put it into a half decent area.
No.
And Leicester just couldn't deal with it all afternoon. And you think after it happened 2 times, 3 times during the first half, you're saying to yourself, well, we need to sort this out. But it just didn't happen.
No. Simple but effective, wasn't it? But
yeah,
I mean, listen, the likes of certain players in Leicester's defence haven't got the most amount of pace that there was much pace as you would like. Without referring to ourselves, me and Jerry, believe it or not, we're not the quickest in the world, right? But we didn't get caught out. Of course, we got done by a centre forward sometimes and made mistakes like everyone. But we kept it to a minimum because we were concentrating and focusing and communicating with each other. Get around the right side, be in the right position, be ready for what ball you think is going to come. Don't sit there just watching your teammates playing and then go, oh, and then react. We'd get caught out every week if that was the case. Be prepared, as Jerry says. But listen, I can tell you now how Charlton are going to play next week. And I don't know how Charlton play day to day, but I know how they're going to play next week.
Everyone will just look at this game now and says, put the ball in behind.
Yeah.
You got to win when to put the ball in behind because Wout Faes, Caleb Bacoli and Vestergaard do not want to run after it.
No, not in the right positions, even if they can run.
Yeah, I'm worried it's sounding a little bit negative here. Because we, Leicester have lost the game 2-1. There's every right to feel negative and to feel, disappointed with the result. I'm sure all of the travelling fans coming back down the M6 will feel the exact same thing. But there are some positives, I think, that we can take from today. Let's try and draw upon a few of those. Jeremy Monga, Jeremy Monga being the main one, 16 years old. He looked fantastic yet again.
Yeah, he just looks sharp. He looks game when he comes on. He wants to run it as full-backs. He wants to come inside, get shots off, get crosses into the box. We've seen a few step overs, a few little skills on one of the full-backs, little drag backs. He's playing free. He's got nothing to worry about. He's just playing like he's playing on the park with his mates, just enjoying himself. And I think a lot of the players need to take not a leaf out of his book, just go out there and try and enjoy yourself, enjoy yourself, work hard, and play football and try and win a football game. Because that, for me, it was like a bit of a kick up the backside. Yeah. It's like saying to it's not going to be handed on the plate. You've got to work for it. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, just go out there and play football and work your hardest. Give 100%.
He was a joy to watch, wasn't he? He came on, made a massive difference. They made a couple of tactical and personnel changes, but without doubt, he was the key to Leicester. Well, obviously getting back in the game, but then looking like they were going to go and win it. Really, not too dissimilar to last week, if you like. That's the way it looked like it was going to pan out, but Preston had that little bit more about them than Sheffield Wednesday, particularly at home. But Monga, he's clever. He is clever beyond his years. I mean, undoubted ability. He's only going to get. I've mentioned that he doesn't seem lightning quick. He doesn't absolutely shred the fullback in that sense, but he's only going to get quicker. You've plenty of time to improve your pace from 16 to 19, 20, whatever it is. Till you reach a maximum. But he's sharp enough anyway. But that actually serves him well, I think, in the long run, because he's not reliant on pace. He's developing different abilities, different techniques in different situations. Some, a little flip-flap inside, little step over, a little, I don't even know what you call it, what he did in the corner when he dragged it back and flicked it around the back of the defender. Superb stuff, and not something you see very often in 1v1 situations these days. It's more pass and move and try and find the space and etc. rather than actually going past your direct opponent. And he doesn't seem fazed by it at all, does he? His face is pretty non-expressive, isn't it? It's just like. He almost looks bored out there.
He didn't really celebrate either, did he? Because he goes back to the game when he got the ball and ran back straight to the centre circle. I think he's.
It could go either way as well. You see already defenders, decent class defenders, they're backing off him. Like the goal, you said it basically when we were watching it. He said he hasn't actually done that much there because the defender knows what he can do. He's dropping off an extra half a yard. And that gives Monga the space, just a little dip of the shoulder, and he drifts inside, and has a shot on goal. Sounds easy, but because he's developing a reputation already, and like, don't get too tight because he'll turn you, he'll twist you. So dropping off half a yard, right foot near post. If he meant that, picked it out, which I think he did. That was excellent because that's where the space was. But yeah, top class.
I think the manager will see this as well. You know, he's probably thinking now, Charlton away, put him in there, let him loose.
But
let him loose.
It's getting ever closer.
Yeah, I don't see why not. He's,
but, you know, Mavididi needs to be on his toes.
Jerry, how good was it watching him live?
Yeah, he's quality, and I think as soon as he come on, and I think as soon as he got the ball the first time, he takes the full back on, and then he gives it a game, and the full back decides to drop off a little bit. And I know, and then obviously the goal, because of what the lads were saying, they just sort of backed off that little bit more, and that encouraged them to come into the box. But I mean, every time he got the ball, everyone was just sitting up, ready to wait and see what he was going to produce. Obviously, it didn't quite come off every time, but the excitement value is right there whenever he gets the ball. You know, every time he received the ball, and I think News just mentioned, every time he gets a ball, he wants to go forward. He wants to be positive. He wants to be direct in his play, and obviously having that unbelievable ability with his feet. You know, that it's just all positive when you're watching him.
You can mix it up, Tex, can't he, as well?
Yeah, and he's not afraid. He's not afraid to use his strength. He might be small in stature, but he's strong. And he's not afraid, to use that physical strength that he's got if he's, being put under pressure. I mean, he can use both feet equally as well. He did a bit of skill there down on the line when the defender was really, really tight to him, and he's facing his own goal. Just incredible bit of skill. To get away.
I like that ball that he played in. I'm talking about mixing it up. So James Justin made like a sort of underlap run. He slotted it in. James Justin got it across. Fatawa got the touch. I think Eveson made the save. And
yes,
it's good to see he's aware as well. He's not he's far from a one-trick pony, but he doesn't just get the ball and think right full. But he assesses the situation and what's there. And really impressive, I thought.
Do you see him starting Nuge next week?
I don't see why not. He's come on twice now in league games and made an impact. Just scored his first goal of the season. Let him loose. What have you got to lose? He's hungry. He wants to play football. Let him go.
Final word, Jerry, can go to you ahead of that game then against Charlton in a week's time. What do we need to see that's a little different to what we've seen today? Do you think, considering you were there and saw it in the flesh?
Well, I think what you've seen today from Preston is what you'll see from a lot of teams in this league when Leicester play them. They'll play more direct football. They'll sit deep. We see that Sheffield Wednesday did it last week. They're going to defend in numbers, make it difficult. Leicester have to start moving the ball from back to front quicker. We've seen that for a while in the second half, and it paid dividends. Where Leicester had a lot of possession and a lot of pressure on Preston's goal. But then you see those little wrong decisions where they want to keep possession of the ball and try and build, so for me it's all about moving the ball quicker from back to front. And I'm not saying lump it. I mean, it's maybe 1 or 2 passes before you're in the final third, not 4, 5 and 6. And they've got to come to grips with that, because teams will defend deep and hit you on the counter attack, and it's a bit of an issue for Leicester at the minute, that counter attack in football.
Well, thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Nuge. Thank you, Matt. We're just previewing that Charlton game in a week's time. Obviously, we'll be able to bring you every single kick, as we do, as ever, on Fox's Hub. It's an early kick-off next week, the first early kick-off of the new season. That means we'll be live from 12 p.m, so an earlier start. We'll be live from 12 for a 12:30 kick-off. There are still those international seasonal passes available. The early bird offer is £140 for you international audiences. That is a brilliant deal, because you can watch a hell of a lot of games with us. In terms of listening here, particularly here in the UK, there are Listen Live seasonal passes available for just £45. That means you can listen to all of the action, guaranteed every minute of every single game with us here on Fox's Hub. And if you've not got it, it starts, of course, with that game against Charlton next week. As I said, early kickoff, so we'll be live from 12 o'clock. Thank you to Jerry and to Niall for their commentary up in Lancashire today. Thanks to Nuge and to Matt Elliott as well for their company. Matt's just watching some of the highlights back, as you can see. Some exasperated looks coming from him. I think there'll be some exasperated supporters as well following that disappointing 2-1 defeat on the road. We'll be back again, though, in a week's time for that Charlton game where hopefully things can be turned around. Have a great week, everybody. Goodbye.